We're back to give you our first TV show review of 2022, and what way to get this started than to talk about HBO's Raised by Wolves Season 2. We are super excited. We've watched the first 2 episodes, which were just released today, and guys, if you haven't seen this show, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? What are you worth? What are you waiting for? Stick around and find out our take on those first 2 episodes.
It was a masterpiece. I mean, I'm gonna give it 5 reels for sure. What?
So when I first heard that Ridley Scott of Alien fame was behind the development of Raised by Wolves, I of course had to watch that first season. And so to give you some context on what happens in season 1, you basically have a group of colonists that land on planet Kepler 22b, a crazy planet, of course, with some acid water and all sorts of different tropical or topography or different zones. And
it's like a minefield.
It's actually quite beautiful the way that they portray the planet.
Well, in the second season, but in the first season, it's like it's out to get you.
Oh yeah. It's a very threatening place, right? But you have these droids, these androids basically, that are raising these human children because they want to restart humanity. There's been an apocalypse, right? And they want to raise these kids in such a way where they're not influenced by religion. So they call themselves the atheists, right? And they want to raise them to be atheists. And then you have this other faction. They arrive at Kepler in the Ark, and they are the Mithraic, and they believe in a higher being known as Soul.
Soul. Praise Soul. Okay? Praise Soul.
And so you have the main characters here, Mother and Father. And by the way, I just want to quickly say that the actress that plays Mother, her name is Amanda Collins, and here she is also known as Lamia. She is definitely the reason to watch this show.
Just stand out.
Yeah, she's the standout. She's one of the big, attractions here. She just plays this droid in a very creepy,
it's very creepy,
maniacal, nice, kind of subdued way. It's kind of like there's this boiling water underneath that nice little Mary Poppins surface.
Right. It's like the nun at the private school that's like, I'm going to teach you, God's teachings or the way to live a great life. But if you cross the line, I will kill you.
Right. And so, of course, the conflict comes once these Mithraic land. They are at odds, basically, with the atheists. And so here you have a continuing battle between the atheists and the Mithraic. And I don't want to get too much into what happens in season 1, except for that crazy ending where Mother gives birth to
number
an
7.
abomination.
To number 7.
Right? Which, not a human.
Far from it.
But this is a child that she gave birth to herself, and so we don't want to get into how an android had a baby, but all of that is explained.
But we should tell them that it is a serpent.
It is a serpent.
It is a long-looking snake.
And it's just a very weird ending to season 1. But
that can fly.
Season 2 picks up basically with Mother and Father being recharged because something happens to them at the end of season 1, and Mother has this kind of like she hears this voice, which, by the way, it's a kind of like a recurring thing in this show. People hearing voices.
It's a signal that's prevalent.
And so that's one of the biggest mysteries of the first season that I'm sure is going to be explored more in this season is who are they hearing and who is giving them these instructions, because the Mithraic hears Soul, supposedly.
They think it's Soul, right.
Right. And then she is hearing the supercomputer that they're calling the Trust, I guess, which is where she's getting her orders from. It's kind of like the machine or the robot or the whatever that
the central intelligence
that
of the collective
atheists, the collective follow, basically. And she is getting these orders, and then at the same time going back to continuing to raise her 6 human children with Father.
We need to clarify that most of those kids died, so she gets this new group from the Ark that she kidnaps, basically, but those are her new children.
Right.
Some of them like her, some of them don't like the situation, and that's where some of the conflict arises.
Exactly. It also focuses on finding this 7th serpent snake-like like child, and because it is a threat, because it's basically this giant monster, but it's also her child. So there's this internal conflict within her about, having to potentially kill her own child, her own
offspring,
progeny.
Yeah. What I like about these first 2 episodes is it continues those themes of like parenthood, trust, religious fervor, prejudice, while also exploring these new situations, exploring the new planet that suddenly they're in an area that's like Father says, welcoming, to them, and also they're trying to cohabitate within the collective that has a little bit of prejudice towards some of these kids because they're former Mithraic kids, and then they're also delving more into the lore and the prophecies of Soul, and you're also getting more information about this ancient civilization, or you see these relics that are like thousands or millions of years
coming
old
up, and what do they mean, and what are they gonna, I'm sure that something's gonna come up with these relics that they're uncovering.
How is it all tied together?
How's it all tied together? And it also, you have the Mithraic trying to still convert some of the atheists at the same time.
Right, Marcus.
Yeah, exactly. The contention is there, and you brought up parenting as one of the themes, and that's actually one of my favorite things about the show is the way in which mother and father so democratically communicate with each other, because of course they're
funny,
robots, but they still communicate the way that a couple would communicate. I'm going to make it up to you, or things like that.
And
it's
see,
very
guys,
interesting.
That's something you don't see often in shows or movies.
It's very real.
Androids with human attributes.
Right. Yeah. It's actually very real, the way that they portray that dynamic as parents, and the difficulties that come with being husband and wife. I do really like one thing that I picked up on these 2 episodes, that it doesn't feel at least like an anti religion necessarily, or pro-atheism show. The show is really saying like we all believe in something. It's just a matter of what we choose to believe in, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of irony in this show about, this supercomputer called the Trust is like, we're not going to use violence, no violence, but then
you have the Punisher.
So exactly. So there's really some interesting things there to be said about how at the end of the day, whether we choose to believe in a higher being or something else, we all need to find some meaning in life, and that's what's really
even Marcus, who's trying to rebuild this Church of Soul, isn't going to rebuild it so much as a church with like standards and control and guidelines. He's more like it's more of a freedom of choice, but still led by Soul. So there's a lot of gray area, which is why you see some of these characters kind of going back and forth between these 2 factions. So it's again, we always talk about the show being thought-provoking.
Yes, absolutely. If you're looking for a show that has sci-fi elements, some really subversive, creepy, a tone that is absolutely subversive and creepy, and new worlds and all of that. I mean, it can be slow at times and conversational, but that's nice. It doesn't ever feel boring, at least to me. So I'm excited to see I'm excited to see what's to come next.
Well, you know, one of the things that we're going to be expecting is this relationship between Campion and Paul, who are the children of mother and father.
Yep.
You know, Paul being one of those adopted Mithraic children who he doesn't trust androids. He doesn't trust the atheists. He just doesn't trust anything, and he has a lot of hatred. But yet he's friends with Campion,
right.
And Campion has this innate goodness, and there's this prophecy of some orphan, you know, being the new Messiah, so to speak. And so that's basically it. I mean, without giving you all the details, that's it in a nutshell, guys. It's a great framework for a show that's really, I think, rocked HBO and rocked fans, to be honest.
Yes. So definitely check out Raised by Wolves Season 2 on HBO. As for me, my reel rating is going to be a solid 4.5 reels because I really enjoy this show. I really love watching it. So
yeah, I'm with you. 4.5 reels to start off. I mean, these are clearly 2 setup episodes, but they have a lot of intrigue and mystery to really get you engaged. So it's not like watching the first 2 episodes of Boba Fett, for example.
Oh no,
where you're kind of like,
oh no, we're only 1 or 2 episodes so far are great. No, this is consistently good and great acting all around and interesting characters.
Yes.
So for sure, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about Raised by Wolves.
And of course, we always want you guys to subscribe to our stuff. We feel like we built out a lot of good content here. Please, on your way out, hit that like button. Really helps us. And of course, hit the bell button so that you know every time we upload a video.
And we're even more more excited that we have recently revealed a new item on our online store, realscreeners.com. We have done a tremendously creative mashup of The Matrix with The Batman, or just
Dark
Batman,
Knight.
The Dark Knight. Yeah, so go ahead and go visit realscreeners.com and check that out for sure.
Yes, and keep your eyes out on that website because we are coming up with an anime shirt that is going to rock you to your core, guys. Promise.
Absolutely. Don't forget to look us up on social media. We're on Facebook and TikTok at Real Screeners, Instagram real.screeners. And as always, stay tuned next time for our next real take on movies, TV shows,